Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kunal Bhatt here from CMS IT Services. Thank you for joining and taking your time out in this afternoon. We would be starting the webinar, and the topic is the right way to remote work with robust IT support system. While we all are seeing this roller coaster ride that COVID is taking us all through, remote working has been the way of life now for some time more, and we are just going to understand how we can help making the remote working more smooth, more better with a right way of IT support. A small introduction about the speakers and the topics that we'll be discussing today. uh, I am joined by Rajiv Garg. He is the solution consultant at LogMeIn and will be taking us through the solution, the core solution for the rescue, which helps us deliver the remote support in a very smooth way. Myself, Kunal, but I lead the automation practice at CMS IT Services. While we'll take a couple of minutes on what CMS is doing and how it has been working across in the market, we would want to discuss a bit of the about the new normal imperatives in the businesses. Then Raji will take us through the solution, and then the floor will be open for the Q&A. So I'm sure major of you guys would be aware about CMS IT Services. We are a 40-year-old company spanning across the Indian geography, have 7,000 plus employees and 3,000 plus customers. And this is the CMS IT Services, which offers best-in-class service support to the customers. We are known and appreciated by customers for our innovative approach to resolve the problems and the tasks at hand. Our focus has always been that the customer is at the center of our requirements. We make custom solutions, or we define those deliverables based on the customer requirements. We have a very focused and agile management who takes uh, the solutions across and the customers very seriously their feedbacks. There are multiple verticals, and you name the vertical, CMS IT is present into it. The key offerings that CMS IT has, uh, while we do the traditional infrastructure support and availability management of the infrastructure and the solutions around it, the key offering that we have is the application services, where we are looking at digital experience solutions, employee experience solutions with this whole remote working thing, using RPAs to deliver a lot of mundane and repetitive tasks, doing app support and dev support across. The key functionalities on the automation space that we do is the complete end user and enterprise management, application automation, workplace services automation using multiple tools, and one of that tool we'll be seeing today, data center services, cloud migration, and network services and network automation across. And the want of time, cyber security services, where we do audit assessments, protection solutions, detection solutions available, cyber breach response, and manage cyber security. And lot of these things are delivered from our enterprise delivery center, which is at Bangalore and Mumbai. And I'll come to the business imperatives, and we would have a small poll around this later in the session across, but I just want thoughts on this from the team who's there on the webinar. How is the remote working going, and what are the omnipresent challenges, both from an IT support perspective as well as business perspective? How effective is the support, the IT support? Are there any impacts on business SLAs that we are delivering? Because today everything is now boiling and pointing towards the business SLA. Is the delivery reactive and slow? Where do we get the proactiveness from? How do we manage the proactiveness? Are you having a diverse base which is troubling you? Because users working from remote, working from home, the support gets into a very dynamic methodology right now. Is the complexity of scale of the IT landscape giving you every organization would have a different landscape? Some would have multiple brands, multiple technologies available, and Is that landscape, those challenges keeping you awake? Are you troubled with the rapid technology evolution? If you see today, we are getting so much updates of every software, every application bases on security and vulnerabilities. What is the good adoption methodology for having these technologies and maintaining ourselves abreast to the updates that are coming in? Are there problems that keep the support team on toes? Now this is the critical functionality. Everything is done, everything that we are doing, but what happens? What is the support strategy? How do we plan to deliver the support through the remote working? While government has put the IT services under the essential services category for data center and critical banking environments and the government space, but still the IT support that is required for all other organizations who support this functionalities in one or the other way need that availability of technology, availability of the support around the technology. And how do we fare into that now? That's the structure here, the challenges that we could come across, and if you look from the employee and customer support issues, the challenges today are reduced and scattered manpower. Now to support a set of users you need a good amount of team, but the team is today reduced and scattered because of the restrictions and the challenges that are there in the market. There's a decreased accessibility across the team to reach out to the customers, to reach out to the users, and everything ends up on a communication hold up because either the gentleman is busy on the phone or they are busy with their uh, Microsoft Teams or Zoom or any of those connectivity, and then the activity, what the problem they are facing cannot be addressed easily. The impact of this, the outcome of this is the reduced response and support that has been given to the users across. The users experience is going down, there is more dissatisfaction among them, and the outcome is that their productivity is getting hampered somewhere. And how do you mitigate this? First, key functionality is adoption of digital technologies, which major of the companies over the last 1 year has done. Lot of people have advanced into this, but still there's a lot more to do in this digital adoption when it comes to support services across. Budgetary alignment to focus on this kind of services, contactless operations, and everything that if this all falls right in the place, you will have delighting experience from the users, from your IT support team. And why this is very important today is, it is today, as we say, work from home, it is actually work from anywhere. And when you say work from anywhere, it is a synonym that support is needed everywhere. So I am outside, or I am at my home, or I'm at my office, or sitting at a coffee shop and doing work, I will still need support at any given point in time. So the support expected is anytime, anywhere. And every user expects that they get a hyper personalized experience. The IT support desk or the team should know what they are doing, how are they doing, what is there into their infrastructure, everything is there. And beyond that, they need immediate fulfillment or immediate solution and resolution to the challenge that they are facing. Now to do all these things, we have multiple tools, multiple technologies, but the best of the breed has to be chosen for an environment to be delivered in the right fashion. With that, even the user also has to be agile to adopt to those technologies, right? And to do all these things, what the way that we are looking at, from we have moved from the help desk concept in the early 2000s to the service desk concept, where these help desk was just a response mechanism. They used to take up the phone, understand the user's problem, and send someone to the user, and that engineer would do all the activities that he has to do to resolve it. Come the days of service desk, that L1 identification of the challenge was taken over by the service desk team. The service desk was the repository and they used to do the knowledge management. At one level, the service desk started resolving the problem, doing a self help at a tier 0 level to the user and telling them what is to be done. They were using some collab tools integrated with the IT processes that used to deliver. But today is the time where we move to an automated delivery center, where there's an automated ticketing happening, automated ticket creation, updation, closure happening. Technologies like the chatbot, self-help, self-heal, which help the user to resolve the problem on their own without they wanting to connect to a human being. A predictive support is the key, where the user should get an update what is happening in his infrastructure, what is the problem that could come across, what is the potential threat. And with all this, how can we achieve this? There's a need of collaboration and integration of tools with the service teams and all the IT processes. This is important functionality. And even if all these things happen, still there is always be a need of a human touch support required, that human connectivity required. Now, to do that human connectivity, and lot of times for a user, it is difficult to explain the problem, difficult to tell what the problem is and how that problem can be addressed. The service desk also fails to understand because of the user's inability or users challenging in explaining. And that is where the tool that we are talking of today, Rescue, comes into a very helpful position. It bridges that gap, that technological and language linguistic challenge. It bridges that gap. It tells us what is to be done and how it can be done across. And that's where I will leave the floor open for Rajiv to take it up, and he will tell us more about the solution, what Rescue is.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rajiv. I hope all of you with your families are staying safe in this difficult situation. Hopefully, this situation will be behind us very soon. So what we want to do today is talk about rescue, and we take a look at the solution. But before that, I just want to launch a poll question and see, get a sense of how your organization is planning a long-term remote working plan. Is it going to be a long term, or is it just going to be a short term plan? So I will launch a poll question now. So you will see a question on your screen, and you can select the response which is best suited based on your organization's plan. Okay. So here's the question. The question is, what is your organization's long-term plan? Is it going to be fully remote going forward? Will you have 50 to 80% employees working remotely, or will you have about 25 to 50% employees working remotely, or a remote work will end as soon as the situation improves? So we'll wait for the responses to come in. We'll give about 30 seconds. So I request everyone to key in the answers. So here are the results on your screen. So you can see that at least 80% of the organizations, or more than 80% of the organizations, will have some amount of employees or some number of employees. Let's take an average of 50% of the employees will be working remotely, right? So that's a big number. If 80% of the organizations think that 50% of their employees will be working remotely, so remote work is going to become a reality, and providing remote support is already a reality now, right? So you need to make sure that your employees are working without any challenges, without any issues. If you're doing any kind of new hire, right? So your new hire onboarding and the offboarding of the employees who are leaving the organizations, it all happens seamlessly and remotely, right? So for those challenges, this is the important session. And what I will now do is I will talk about rescue. So there's a small video which I will play, which will talk about the rescue solution. My name is Rajiv, and I'm the solutions consultant at LogMeIn. So what are we going to talk today is about the remote support tool, and specifically we will understand if your organization is using the right remote support tool based on your organization's requirement, and why you should look at a product like Rescue, which is our enterprise-grade remote support tools, and what are the benefits of using that tool. So before I go ahead and get started, I just want to quickly level set some housekeeping items. So this webinar is being recorded, so you can get a copy of this webinar after the webinar ends. So you can request for that. Second, we will have a live Q&A after my presentation. So if you have any questions anytime during the presentation, feel free to enter it in the questions tab that you have on your screen for GoToWebinar, and I'll answer it during our Q&A session. And third, we'll have a feedback survey. So at the end of the webinar, we'll ask you a couple of questions. So feel free to give your feedback about the session. Okay. So I want to talk about the agenda, right? So before I move on, I just want to level set the agenda. So we will talk about some common misconceptions. What are the misconceptions people have around the using a remote support tool, and why you should always look for a right remote support tool, right? Why it is important to use a right remote support tool. Then we will talk about Rescue, right? What is Rescue and why it is better than any other tool that you might be using. We'll talk about some security feature upgrades that are part of Rescue, and what are the different advantages of Rescue by role, and some user upgrades as well. Okay. So I want to talk about some common misconceptions of using a remote support tool, right? So a lot of you might be thinking that I can use my collaboration tool like Microsoft Teams or WebEx or GoToMeeting for providing remote support, right? But that is more of a collaboration tool. So you can use that for having meetings with one-to-many users, right? But you cannot use it to remotely access a user machine, right? This is more of a collaboration tool, so you cannot get into the system details and you cannot fetch the system issues of the user. What you can do with a collaboration tool is you can collaborate on a presentation or an Excel file, right? You can share your screen and you can show those details, but you cannot access device level information to fix user issues. You cannot pull in the system information. You cannot pull in the application information, the CPU storage, the processes that are running, the events, logs. That kind of information is not available with a collaboration tool, right? And when you're using a collaboration tool, you can connect internally and externally across geographies. But what you want to do is reduce downtime at different locations. So if your team is sitting out of US or if your team is sitting out of Middle East and you want to reduce the downtime, you can actually use, you can't use a collaboration tool for that, right? You would need a product like Rescue, which can remote in to those scenarios and provide remote support. With your collaboration tool like Microsoft Teams or WebEx or GoToMeeting or Zoom, you can have only one meeting at a time, right? So if you are remoting into a one machine or if you're providing support to one user, you cannot actually use that particular collaboration tool to provide remote support to another user, right? So it's one session at a time. But with the product like Rescue or for any remote support tool, you can actually use to provide support to multiple users at the same time, right? So you can actually support up to 10 users with the help of Rescue. Now, let's talk if you're using a right remote support tool, right? There are a lot of products in the market. Some are, very cheap in terms of price. Some are expensive. Some are free for that matter. So whether you're using a right remote support tool or not is the question that you have to ask yourself. So the first thing that you probably need to consider is the auditing and logging capabilities. What is the information that your remote support tool is capturing? Where is that information getting stored, right? Is it getting stored on the cloud? Is it meeting the compliance and regulatory requirements? Right? What kind of information is getting stored? What kind of details it is storing? So tomorrow, if there is any audit or if there is any reporting requirement, can you go back into a session and see all the activities that happened in a particular session, right? So auditing and logging capabilities are very important, and you need to understand that what is the level of detail that is getting captured and where it is getting captured. So both the things are very important. Second, device information. So how easily it can pull the device information. Do I have to do this manually every time when I remote into a computer, or can it happen, automatically? Can I execute scripts remotely without taking a remote control and without, executing a script manually, right? So can I do it? Can I automate that task? So whether the remote support tool can help you with that. The third one is the remote support tools. So what kind of features are built in into that uh, product? So for example, does it allow you to transfer the session, right? Does it allow you to invite external technician or internal technician? So can you have a collaboration with the remote support tool, right? Can you actually run the remote session in a very low bandwidth environment, right? So these are the questions that you need to ask when you're using a remote support tool. And finally, reporting. So what kind of reports that are available? What are the admin capabilities that are available? How I can structure my um, technicians? How can I create different group of technicians? What are the permissions that I can provide them? How can I fetch technician level reporting, that how many sessions he's taking, what is the efficiency of my agent, what are the different KPIs that I'm meeting, or what are the different SLAs that I'm meeting with remote support tools. So those are the kind of information that a good remote support tool should provide you, right? So you should see whether your remote support tool is providing you with that information. So what I want to do now is talk about Rescue. So Rescue is our enterprise-grade remote support platform built with the power, security, scalability, and reliability you need to access and support more smartphones, tablets, and computers than any other remote support solution. And why is it important? Because smartphones and tablets are becoming the new normal, with bring your own device being the latest trend and phenomena. You need a remote support tool which can remote into Windows machine, Mac machine, iOS machine, Android machine, right? Whether it is smartphone or tablet. So you need a remote support tool which is enterprise ready in terms of security, in terms of customization, in terms of integration, and it should also provide you the security, scalability, and reliability at the same time. And that's what we provide you with Rescue. If I want to talk about a few key features of Rescue, so Rescue is a powerful, easy to use remote support solution that provides temporary permission-based access and unattended access for PCs, Macs, and mobile devices, right? So if you look at it, there are a lot of important things that are part of the statement that provides you temporary permission-based access. That means every action that a technician is performing in the user machine is based on the permission by the end user. He cannot take the access of the user machine without his permission. He cannot perform any activity without his permission, and every session is temporary. So once the session is over, you have to start a new session. You have to give him a new applet. You cannot just install anything on the user machine and take the access of the user machine whenever you want, right? It is ideal for enterprise businesses, right? So if you look at all the big customers like Microsoft, Dell, HP, Lenovo, they're all using LogMeIn Rescue for providing remote support. In today's session, I will also cover 4 great case studies um, from our Indian customers. But all these brands like Microsoft, Dell, HP, they're all using Rescue for providing remote support because it is ideal for enterprise businesses. You can do customization of the pin entry page. You can do any kind of customizations on the user flow. You can integrate with your ticketing system, CRM system, and that's what the third point is, which is it is great for complex processes or workflows. Right. So if you have a workflow where you want the user to create a ticket, and from your ticketing system like ServiceNow, you want to initiate a rescue session, and once the session is ended, all the activities of rescue session should be copied to ServiceNow ticket. All that can be done with Rescue. Right. So Rescue provides you out of the box integration using open APIs, so you can actually integrate with your backend systems. It can be tailored for branding and customization. So as I mentioned, you can actually white label Rescue on the end user side, so he has more confidence while giving access of his machine to the technician. And it also provides personalization and a good experience, good customer experience to the end user. Okay. It is also optimized for mobile support. So whether I want to remote into an iOS device or an Android device, I can actually do that using Rescue. Plus, we also have a feature called Rescue Lens, where I can actually use the mobile phone camera to provide any kind of hardware support as well, right? So if I want to provide any hardware support where the user has printer issue or Wi-Fi issue or any other issue, I can provide support for that as well. Then it is secured with SSO and MFA. Again, we take security very, very seriously. So so I might come across as very repetitive when I talk about security, but it is a very important factor when people are working from home, when work from anywhere is the new normal, and you want to have security in place. So from that point of view, you don't want your technicians to take remote access of any user without proper security. So you want SSO and you want multi-factor authentication as well. So you can define that only the defined technicians can actually start the remote session. And it is streamlined with out-of-the-box integration. So I gave you one example of ServiceNow where we have out-of-the-box integration. So similar to that, we have a lot of other integrations in place, and we have APIs. So if you want to integrate it with any other external system, whether it's a CRM system or ticketing system, and you want to integrate with that, you can actually do that. All right. So for an enterprise grade remote support solution, you would also need enterprise grade security, right? So what you want to do is you want to have an enterprise domain. What it essentially means is when I create a 6-digit PIN as a technician and I give it to the user, I don't want him to go on any public page and enter that PIN and initiate the session. I would want to have an enterprise domain which is specific to my enterprise so that nobody else can actually use that page or access that page and initiate rescue session for some other user, right? So with rescue, you can actually create enterprise domain, and that is what Microsoft has done. So Microsoft created their own customized page where you can actually initiate a session, right? So they have an enterprise domain which allows them to initiate a rescue session. The second important part is restricted access package. So you don't want your technicians to initiate rescue session from anywhere, right? From outside office network. So you can actually define restricted access package so they cannot initiate a rescue session outside office network, right? So you can define the IP range, you can define the machines from where they can initiate the rescue session, right? So that will restrict them to initiate the rescue session from a specific network, and also they can actually take remote only of specific users. The third point is company PIN code validation. So from the end user side, and any 6-digit PIN should not get accepted for any end user. Otherwise the machine can fall in the hands of some unauthorized technicians, right? So company PIN code validation, what it will do is it will actually check whether the PIN code that has been generated is by the authenticated technician, right? So if I'm from LogMeIn and if I'm generating the PIN and giving it to any other LogMeIn employee to initiate a remote session, it will check whether this PIN code has been generated by LogMeIn, right? So if the LogMeIn employee enter any other PIN given by any other technician outside the organization, it will not accept. Right? So company PIN code validation is again very important, and you should look for these security features when you're looking for an enterprise security advantage. Moving on, I want to talk about some core security features. So this is part of our platform, and this is across the LogMeIn Rescue suite of products, whether it is Rescue or GoToAssist or Rescue Live Lens or Live Guide. All the sessions are AES 256-bit encrypted, providing secure communication, right? There's a permission-based model, which I already talked about. So every session has a unique 6-digit PIN, and that 6-digit PIN cannot be used again for another session. You can also define granular technician privilege management. So as an administrator, I can define what are the permissions that I want to provide to my technicians, right? So at the group level, I can define what are the permissions they should have. So for example, if I want to disable file transfer, I can do that. If I don't want the technicians to restart the user machine, I can provide that as well. The fourth one is identity management integration. So I can define whether it should be integrated with Azure AD, whether it should have an SSO integration, or whether if I want to integrate with my AD to pull in the agent information, I can do that as well. And multi-factor authentication, so I can integrate with any multi-factor provider like LastPass or Microsoft or Google Authenticator, and I can enable multi-factor authentication for my technicians. So what are the advantages of Rescue, right? First one, administrator controls. So Rescue provides you very detailed administrator controls over GoToAssist. So GoToAssist is another remote support tool. So this is just a very high level comparison of GoToAssist and Rescue. So if you're using GoToAssist, you might want to consider upgrading to Rescue. Enterprise user management, right? So again, that has very limited capabilities in GoToAssist, but that's a very detailed feature available as part of Rescue. In GoToAssist, you cannot do real-time monitoring and check for technician performance, but in Rescue, you can actually monitor what technicians are doing. The mobile support again is very limited in GoToAssist, but it is also available in Rescue in a very detailed feature. So whether it is Android or iOS, you can actually remote in and have detailed functionalities in Rescue. Multiple connection methods are available in both GoToAssist and in Rescue. So if you want to share the PIN via chat or via email or via SMS, you can actually do that in both the products. Unattended access, it is now available in both GoToAssist and Rescue. So now if you want to have an unattended access in GoToAssist as well, you can actually get in both the products. Some additional Rescue feature advantages. So you have the customization and branding. So it provides you the ability to tailor a remote solution to meet the unique needs of your organization. It also has in-app support. Again, very important factor. So if you want an SDK to be integrated in your mobile app, you can actually do that with Rescue, right? So it has the SDK for both iOS and Android, which you can use. It also has out-of-the-box integration with Salesforce, ServiceNow, Zendesk, Freshdesk, Dynamics, and more, right? So if you want to streamline your workflow and standardize your case details, you can actually do that using Rescue. And finally, video support. So if you want to increase your first-time resolution with self-serve fixes over smartphone video, you can actually do that. And it also comes with VoIP capability, so you can also have audio conversation with the end user, right? So these are just some of the other features that we have with Rescue. So with that, I will take a pause, and what I will do is I will show you some of the case studies that we have with Rescue, right? So just give me 1 second. Yeah. So the first case study I'll talk about is Tech Mahindra. So Tech Mahindra doesn't need any introduction. We all know that it's one of the largest system integrators of India, and they have over 105,000 employees. So what they wanted to use Rescue, or what they wanted is they wanted to provide remote support for all their internal employees across all the locations globally, right? So that was a challenge they had where they wanted a centralized service desk that provide 24/7 remote support to nearly 1 lakh employees, right? So they evaluated a lot of products, including WebEx, RAdmin, NetMeeting, and Rescue. And after thorough comparison, they actually decided and went ahead with Rescue. So if you look at the results here, they reduced the AHT and improved FCR. So they reduced average handle time and improved first call resolution because of the features like remote reboot and connect, and connectivity features and file transfer speed, right? They also increased the service desk efficiency facilitated by being able to support both PCs and smartphones and mobile devices from one solution. And on the left-hand side, you have the comment from Parag Chaudhary, who is the project manager for centralized service desk in Tech Mahindra, right? So this is one case study with Tech Mahindra. The second case study that I want to talk about is Fuji Xerox, right? So Fuji Xerox is much more than just a photocopier machine, as we all know them popularly, right? So they are based out of Singapore with over 2,000 employees, and they have employees in over 14 countries, and they wanted to support in all these countries. And they have over 100 support engineers, right, based out of Sydney, Australia, Seoul, South Korea, and Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia, right? So this is where they had all their support engineers based out of. So they wanted, again, a remote support tool to provide support for their users. So if you see the results, 69% of Fuji Xerox Asia Pacific customer support transactions are resolved via its e-support remote strategy, right? That is over 2 million transactions per year, right? The remote support has increased from 27% to 41%. Again, a huge benefit of using a remote support tool, right? So these case studies are available on our website, and we can also share these documents with you if you want. But this is just an example of how you can get the benefit of using Rescue as your remote support tool. The third one that I want to talk about is Wipro. Again, doesn't need any introduction. We all know who Wipro is and what they do. So what they have done is they actually had a very complex process in their internal service desk. So what they have done is they have taken both Rescue as well as Bolt 360 live chat. So LogMeIn also has a live chat product which is called Bolt 360. So they have actually integrated the live chat product with their internal service, internal ticketing solution. So they have an in-house ticketing solution where they integrated a live chat. And through live chat itself, they have integrated with the Rescue, right? So with the live chat itself, I can actually escalate to a remote support session and get help from the technician. What is the result? So the need for remote support has come down by 10 to 15%, right? Because of self-serve, right? The service desk agent can now invite experts internally and externally to collaborate on remote session and resolve issues, thus significantly increasing the first call resolution, right? The efficiency of the technicians was increased, and ticket resolution time was reduced by 2 to 3 hours. So when you look at an organization of the size of Wipro with 2 lakh, 3 lakh employees, and if you reduce the resolution by 2 or 3 hours, it's a significant cost saving for any organization, right? And it has also resulted in 25% on-desk visit. Now you can imagine for organization of this size, if you reduce on-desk visit by 25%, what a massive cost saving and time saving it is for the organization, and at the same time for the end user as well, because this is something that would take a couple of days to resolve and not just hours, right? This is another case study. And the last case study that I'll talk about is Evalue Server, right? So again, Evalue Server is a global analytics services provider that simplifies business management processes. The challenge was how to provide secure remote support during this work from home period, right? So after this pandemic hit, how could they provide efficient and secured remote support to their employees? So again, they implemented Rescue to tackle these challenges, right? So there were a lot of value-added support services such as multi-platform assistance and tailored customer experience, right? And also Rescue's unattended access feature allows them to take remote of servers and other machines where the users are not sitting continuously, so that they can take remote of those machines as well. So why they chose LogMeIn is because of the remote diagnostic capability. So that is what I spoke about earlier. Can you fetch the information of the system remotely, right, without doing those tasks manually? Is it trusted and secure, right? Does it have enterprise-grade security measures? And third one is unattended access, where how you would take remote of the user machine if they are not in front of the system. What are the benefits? They were able to maintain their SLA by to 95%, right? Even during work from home period, they were able to manage and maintain their service level agreement, Rescue helped them with remote and seamless troubleshooting. Uh, and instead of going physically to the user desk, they could do it remotely, right? They were able to resolve tickets more efficiently by reducing the bandwidth requirement because, as I mentioned, rescue can run in a low bandwidth environment as well, right? As low as 512 kbps of internet speed, you can also run a rescue session, right? So these are just some of the case studies and some of the benefits that some of our customers have seen. If you want more details, you can actually visit our website and get more details. I will go ahead and close the poll now, and I will share the results. So yeah, still, again, more than 40% of the people think that their remote collaboration IT support is good. So again, we do have some room for improvement, whether it is in terms of finding the right technology or doing the integrations of the technology, the end-to-end integration uh, with the ticketing solution, with the CRM solution, uh, doing some kind of self-serve like bots. So there's always a scope for improvement. So I hope this solution or this session was helpful for you to look at the areas of improvement. So there are key takeaways on your screen. So while I'm taking the Q&A, you can go through these key takeaways, and in case you have any questions, you can put it in the chat, and I will take those questions one by one. So there's a question that is Rescue a SaaS offering? So yes, Rescue is a SaaS offering. It's a completely cloud-based solution. And if there is an on-prem solution available, no, there is no on-prem solution available for Rescue. It is only cloud-based. What is the pricing depends on? What is the parameter of pricing? So pricing is based on the agent. So based on the number of agents, your pricing is based on the agent licensing. After restart system, Rescue allows us to feature like IDRC, where we are able to see the booting process. No. So it does not go into the BIOS or into the booting process. Rescue works over the internet, so it needs a basic internet connection and OS to run on. So whether it is Windows or Mac OS, it needs that OS to run on and an internet connection. So you cannot access the BIOS or the booting process.
I think we are good to conclude. Thank you, attendees. Thank you so much for your valuable 1 hour of the day. It means a lot to us, and we'll hope to connect back to you guys personally if you have some requirement for detailing out the solution and looking or diving deep into the solution, figuring out how it can be helpful in your organization, in your environment.
Yep, sure, definitely. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, stay home, and do reach out to us in case you have any questions around Rescue or working remotely. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.